Hello, my name is Ware and welcome to another OS operating system. Today we're gonna take some interesting facts about Linux operating system in the desktop, which is this 2023, plus how to install Linux alongside with your existing Windows OS so that you have both options to have the proprietary OS and the free and open source OS.
So based on these website, FOSS, it's foss.com, the desktop of Linux market share in April 2023 increased gradually, like seriously, nearly 1%. That is a huge number just only for this first quarter of 2023. So based on this information that we have, that's serious to know that the latest market share percentage of the Linux desktop, remember it's desktop, you don't have to do research, we've done it for you. That's from itsfoss.com. Each year we discuss the year's desktop of the Linux desktop. It cannot be helped when we see the increase of the operating system market share in a customer's space. Of course, the Linux dominate the entire cloud industry, like the web hosting, the cloud computing, the data warehouse, and so on. Here we focus only in desktop computers in Linux market share. If you are new in the Linux world, Linux is not an operating system, it is a kernel. But we intend to term Linux as the operating system to keep things simple. Well, it's supposed to be like GNU Linux operating system, because the operating system actually is the GNU. The GNU has, or the GNU has no kernel to put on their operating system. That is why it merges with the Linux. One day we hope that Linux distribution will dominate the desktop operating market share in the future. But what do the current trend say this year of the Linux? No, not yet. The trend change every month. Linux last year have been better grip over the market share compared to this year. So it is vital to track the latest points. Here we keep track of the latest trends of forms in the form of monthly updates and reports from different sources. Let me zoom in this one. So Linux increased like 0.0%, which means it is nearly 1%. The total share is 3.86. That's huge. Compared to last year, compared to 2 years ago, Linux desktop only reached 1.2 something. On the other hand, Unix, which is popular as the Mac OS or the Apple's computer's operating system, it is running in Unix. It reaches 17.2%. While the Windows still dominating the desktop market only. Desktop market, not the supercomputers, not the cloud-based, not the servers, and not even the market of cell phones, because Linux still dominate the market share in Android phones, because Android are Linux. The overflow of the Linux-based operating system in desktop, professional use is 39.89%, while the personal use is 40.23%, which means the desktop operating system like the Windows, Mac, and the Linux usually tend to occupy the third position overall. Right now it increased because last year, January, is just only 2.76% compared to April 2023, 3 months after, it reaches 2.86%. That is an increase of 0.08%, which means it is going up. That includes the Chromebook, because Chromebook is also Linux. We have Chromebook, we have Dev 1 of HP computers, which is just focusing on Linux. System 76 also bring new computers like the desktop and the laptops. That is a good news. That is why even right here in Khon Kaen, Thailand, in Northeast region, which is the Eastern region, I was surprised when I go to the tech stores, like computer stores, that they also increase the number of installing of Ubuntu. I was surprised when I said, I'm looking for a Linux operating system, and then, yes sir, we install Ubuntu OS. So that is why it is important to track down, because every month, every year, we have the increased numbers. Even in Bangkok, like this summer, the summer break that we have right here in Thailand, I remember that asking some computer shops there in Bangkok, Thailand, especially in the central area of Bangkok, they also increase the number of desktop users installing Ubuntu. Not only Ubuntu, but also some other distros like the KDE, even the Manjaro. So that is a good market share that Microsoft intended to dominate, but right now it is also increasing the number of the Linux. So that is why it is very important to track down this so-called statistics of increased number of operating system, because this type of operating systems are really for free and it is open source. You don't have to pay anything and doesn't lock you up like our desktop, which is in the Microsoft operating system. They sometimes lock us up, like this Windows is inactive or this Windows is unauthorized. They are trying to lock you up, or even trying to a little bit like, if my friend right here say, it's a little bit like a scam. Oh no. But of course, they marketed it so that they could increase their number of market share, and at the same time, not only that, but also make profit from it. So it is good, it's up to you. It is bad, it is still up to you. So anyway, based on the statistics count right here, or the stat counter, Linux occupied 2.86% of the market share compared to 17.2% for the Mac OS and 69.43% of the Windows. Even in Steam survey, in terms of desktop gaming, Linux has increased number of market share of 0.84%. Like our Steam, the Ubisoft, they're all Linux actually. If you play Counter-Strike, it flickers, right? Because you are entering the Linux operating system already. So that is why it is very important to track this down. So if you want to, just check out this website so that you will have more information about this. So every source utilizing this website has a different method of collecting data. Like in the HP computers, they have the line of Linux computers that they call Dev 1, R Labs, and even Tox computers. They have their own Linux line. Even these IdealPad and ThinkPad of Lenovo, which is they acquired from the IBM, or the International Business Machines, that is also Linux. Did you know that way back then in the history of Linux, IBM is also part of the development of Linux? Your projectors, that is Linux. Your smart TV, that is Linux. Your smartphones, that is Linux. We call it Android, but it is Linux. even our tablets, that is Linux. How about Mac? Apple computers. They are using the Unix operating system, but they call it Mac OS. But it is Unix. That is why it is similar in some ways. So let's try to install Linux OS alongside with your existing Windows OS.